This is Ian with Build Brothers. Going to go ahead and do an inspection here at 11 Spinnaker Way in Coronado. Going to start here on the roof, obviously. And what we've got is a concrete flat tile. The brand of tile is called Auburn tile, and it is discontinued. The manufacturer is no longer in business, and so these tiles are very hard to get. If we look over here, we can see there's a color blend. This is a north-facing roof slope, and so it gets a lot of moss growth on it because it doesn't get nearly as much sunshine. If we look over here, we've got a south-facing roof plane where there is almost no moss growth because of all the direct sunlight it gets. But good news, all indications are that this roof has been replaced since the house was new, most likely during some massive remodel. But some of the telltale signs that we see are mismatched tiles. So we can see that this Auburn tile has a nice flat edge on it, but the majority of the roof has a jagged edge on it. And then if we go over here, we see this roof plane does not have the color blend. And so what that tells me is that this roof they've done a lift and reset where you lift up all the old tiles, you replace all the waterproofing underneath it, you replace all the flashings, valley metal, things like that, repair all the rotten wood, and then reinstall the existing tiles. But it's very hard to find an exact color match or color blend from what was made back in 1989. And so you end up just in places where you can't see from the ground, you use the new tile that doesn't match perfectly to the rest of the roof. And so when we find a roof plane like this that has a big old area that doesn't match the rest of the roof, that usually tells us that a lift and reset has been done. Some of the other indications are these valleys. These valleys are what we call open, and so there's a couple inch gap between the tiles, which allows water and debris to run through there. Back in 1989, those valleys would have been tight, the tiles touching in the middle of the valleys. All of these T-tops and penetration flashings and sewer vent flashings all look to be in great shape, and they are metal as opposed to 1989. It was typical to use mortar. And also the Z-bar counter flashing along the chimneys, that's a nice touch. That's proper and still meets kind of today's codes, that flashing right there that we see where the stucco meets the roof. There's torch down areas in these valleys. All of these valleys are definitely the most vulnerable part of this roof, just based on architectural design, and it happens with all custom homes. But so probably some of the first areas that'll have issues is, weird transitions like that, where we see it just a little bit questionable. Is it leaking now? No. But there are some little complicated details here and there around this roof. The torch down, if I had to guess its age, somewhere between 15 and 18 years old. And so I would say that's probably the age of this roof. So back in the early 2000s, if this place underwent a massive remodel, my guess would be that's when the roof was replaced. Some other nice details that we see. It's obvious that this house was very well cared for. We see that caulking attaching the rain gutter to the stucco. That's a nice little touch. That little piece of caulking right there, although it's ugly, is to prevent water from getting underneath there. This flashing here is probably one of the biggest issues I've found on this roof. You can see that whatever the pipe is on the inside is not long enough to come through the flashing, so it's never been sealed properly. That's pretty wild. So that every time it rains, there is a little bit of water going in there, wherever that is in the house. How to fix that: open up the area, extend that pipe, install a new flashing. What else did I have to say about this? These mortars at the ridge caps are all intact. A lot of times those are cracked and are slipping away, but those are all still good. There is another flashing where between the gutter and the tile is a drip edge, and drip edge was not used consistently in 1989. Solar install, although it is old and the panels do look like they're failing. I'll show you what those cells look like a little bit up close. So you see those, that's basically cell failure on the solar panels. We looked in the garage and this thing was producing 1600 watts and it produced 6 kilowatt hours today. I would expect this home to use more like, I don't know, 35 kilowatt hours a day without air conditioning, and much more than that with air conditioning. I live out in the east part of the county where we run lots of air conditioning, and we use, I think, 100 kilowatt hours a day. So just to put it into perspective as far as what the existing solar system is doing, June is our best production month, and this is best case 7 kilowatt hours per day in June. These are your attic vents. Those allow cool air in and hot air out of the attic space around the roof. And although that type is no longer in use, I'm pretty sure it's consistent with my theory that this is an early 2000s roof. So assuming, between 2000 and 2005, this roof should still have another, hopefully 10 years of life left in it. I would guess that during the remodel, maybe an addition, well, no, both houses on either side, and actually all the houses along this street all look to be very consistent, which I was going to say was an addition done, but maybe this is just the original build. As far as the tune-up goes, would I recommend a tune-up? There's a handful of spare tiles on this roof from here and there. I'm guessing that's from when the solar install happened. Here's a couple more. It's always nice to have a few spare tiles on the roof. I took this tile off a big house in Rancho Santa Fe, and so I have, I don't know, 15 pallets of it with no use, just sitting in what's called our boneyard. But honestly, I haven't found any broken tiles to replace, and the mastic around those flashings looks really, really good. So, so maintenance has been done to this roof over the years.